Hello students, welcome to Fun Scholars. So today we are going to discuss the topic named data handling for class 8 C.B.S.E mathematics, but this chapter will be beneficial for ICSE boards as well for the class 6 and 7 students. So let's start. So in the beginning we will be discussing some basic ideas which you have already read in class 6 or in 7. So let's go further. So first of all, that is a video, that is how do we classify data. So data means what? So if I tell you what does the data means, anything that related with the numbers or figures or anything concrete which can be called as the data. So first of all, if we say that what are the data we discuss every day. So first of all, in news, okay, so in news we get so many kinds of data, okay, and if you talk about your school or your studies, every day when you go to a school, go to the class and the class starts after the assembly, and your class teacher comes and take your attendance, okay, in a sheet. So that is also can be discussed as the data, which we will going to learn about this more in the ongoing lecture. So let's first discuss or watch the video of what is data or what is the classification of data. So let's watch the video here. Okay, so here is the video. So from this video we have learned that what is the data. So this is the given data which will be called as the raw data, and from this raw data we get highest and the lowest value of the data, okay. And after the classification, what is classification? Classification is actually arranging the data in ascending or in descending order. So in this given form of raw data, we are saying that here are so many types of numbers, and it can be anything. It can be symbols, it can be anything like decimal numbers or any letters or something. So these all are can be called as the data or raw data. So after classification we got highest and lowest value, which will be called as the range. So from this video we have learned about raw data, classification of data, highest and lowest point of any data, and range of the data. Okay, so from this video we have learned all of this. Okay, so let's go further from in the PPT. So we watch the video. So again I am just reminding you that what is data. So data refers to facts, figures or information that is collected for analysis. Data can be quantitative, that means numerical, or qualitative, that means descriptive. Okay, and the second thing in the raw data. So raw data we already discussed in the previous video, that this is unorganized data that is collected from various sources. Okay, and what is organized data? Data that is sorted and presented in a meaningful way, either in tables or in graphs or in ascending or descending orders. Okay, next. So here are the examples of raw data and organized data. So what is the raw data? Marks obtained by 10 students, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the marks of 10 students which just given randomly, which will be called or termed as the raw data. And the next one is organized data, that is group the marks into categories. Okay, so if we group the marks from the given raw data, so from 30 to 40 we will be having 33 and maybe only 33, and from 50 to 40 40 to 50 we will be having 45, 48 and yes, and etc. If we term it 50 to 60, so we will be having 60, 52, 61, no, not 61, 61 will come under 60 to 70. Okay, so this is just the range or organization of data. So the next one, that is primary data and secondary data. Data collected by the investigator for the first time through methods such as surveys or experiment will be termed as the primary data, and secondary data, data that has already been collected by someone else and is available for references, which will be called as the secondary data. Okay, so just secondary data as a natural example will be called maybe news. The news which we have watched in the TV and we are discussing that in the schools will be called as a secondary data, because the primary data are being collected by the reporters in the various news channels and they conveyed us and we are conveying that into our classmates. So that is the examples of primary data and secondary data. Okay. The next one, ungrouped data and group data. So ungrouped data, data that is not organized into groups or categories, obviously just the raw data, and group data, data that is organized into classes or intervals, which we already discussed about range, maybe we can call them range, will be called as the grouped data. Yes, this is the examples which has been referred in a table, can be called as the grouped data. The next, classification of data. So data classification involves organizing raw data, and we have already learned about this in the definition that it can be qualitative classification or numerical classification, and quantitative classification or numerical classification, or qualitative classification or descriptive classification from the definition in the first place. So like gender, color, region, these are the classification of students based on gender. If we classify students based on gender like male and female, they can be called as the qualitative data. And quantitative data that is if we classify students' marks or age, that can be called as the quantitative classification because that includes numbers. Okay. Okay, how do we form class intervals? So this is a video, and I am not going to play the video here because this is a very basic thing which you guys may have already know, but if you want to watch the video, you can log into the LMS from the Fun Scholar and you can watch the videos there. Okay, the next thing, yes, they have discussed about the class intervals in this place. So we have already learned about the tally marks from maybe from class 2 or 3. So tally marks is actually a quick method to point out numbers by giving by drawing 5 lines, 4 lines and cutting a line that is 5. So this is just the description of the tally marks. Okay, and here they have showcased the tally marks of the scores, and the frequency means that how many times that numbers is coming. So here we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here we have 40, a collection of raw data that includes 40 numbers. And from this number we can see that if we arrange them in the ascending order, which they haven't done here, so it will start from 11 and go up to 18. Okay, so the range will be, the range of this given data will be 11 to 18. Okay, so this has been done, and how many times a number is repeating, that will be called as the frequency. And how can we calculate the frequency? By the tally marks. Okay, so 11 is repeating for 6 times. Okay, so that's why they have drawn 4 lines and cut by 1 line, that is making the 5. So there are 5 and 1 line is another, that is making 6 times, that is 6 is the frequency. And the similarly for 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and go up to 18, that will be termed as the frequencies of the different numbers, where highest score will be 18 and lowest score will be 11. And yes, so this is the grouped and ungrouped frequency, and talking about 16 comes 7 times and 15 comes 4 times. So 15 comes the less, 12 comes the less, that is 0 times. So we won't be discussing about 12, and the lowest data that comes has the less frequency, that is 15. Okay. So let's go further. So what are the tally marks? We have already discussed about the tally marks. I am not going to playing the video here again. Okay, so this is the tally marks which you guys have already know from the previous classes, but that is a basic thing. Okay. The next thing, what is grouped frequency distribution? So this is an important video. Let's watch the video here.
Previously, we looked at ungrouped frequency.
So this was the video of classification of grouped data by class interval. This is the same thing which we have done in the previous video or in the previous slides. So this is the classification or frequency distribution of grouped data. Okay, so here from this data we can classify them in groups like ranging by taking the range as 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20 and 21 to 25. Then we can count the frequency of the data ranging from 1 to 5 by drawing tally marks like this. And yes, this is the classification of group data. Okay. The next thing is the continuation of the previous video. I am not going to playing the video here because you guys can check the video out from the LMS. Okay. So this is another example of that, or the continuation of the previous video, that how can we distribute the frequency for the group data. Okay. The next is the range of the data. This is a very basic thing, that is, range is the difference between the highest and lowest values in the data set. Okay. And talking about the data set, it gives an idea of the spread of the data. So what range does? Range gives us the idea of the difference or the highest and lowest point. Okay. So formula for range, so range is the maximum value minus minimum value. Example, if the highest score in a test is 90 and then lowest is 30, the range will be 60, 90 minus 30, okay, like this one. So go next, that is how do we form class interval. This one is also a basic thing, I am not going to playing the video here. So interval is basically, so before learning about the intervals, let us learn about the class, a specific category in which data is grouped. Okay, for example, marks from 40 to 50. Okay, so the interval will be 40-50, just like this. So interval will be 10. So interval, if we take the real life examples, like a sum which we have all done, that if your school bell is taking 10 seconds to ring, that means that one bell, and after 10 seconds, though they don't take 10 seconds, because 10 seconds is a very big time interval. So if they are taking 2 seconds to bell after bell, like for a bell, so that will be called as the interval. So for data as well, so from 40 to 50, if the range is 40 to 50, and so and the interval will be 10, the difference between them. Okay. Now maybe you guys are wondering that what is the difference between the class interval and the range. Basically they are the same things. In data handling we use these two different names for different kinds of data to separate them. Okay, we will be discussing this more about in the upcoming slides. So class limit, so lower class limit, the smallest value in the class, and upper class limit is the highest value in the class. Okay, it's a basic thing. Like for 30 and 40, 30 will be the lowest and 40 will be the highest. Okay. The next is tabulation of data. So tabulation refers to presenting the data in tables where, so from table here comes the tabulation. Okay, where it is arranged into rows and columns. So tabulation is useful for systematic representation, making comparisons easier. Okay, parts of a table. So a table has titles, headings, body and footnotes. Okay, and maybe for different subjects as well, we draw tables for differentiation, and for in many aspects, like for the theorems as well, we try to explain any theorem in mathematics by drawing a table. Okay. So the next thing, that is examples of simple frequency table. So marks out of 0 to 20, number of students we have 2, and so this is just a beginner's guide. So how can we write or draw the frequency table? Okay. Next is the frequency distribution. The frequency distribution table organizes data by showing how often each category or class occurs. It helps in visualizing large datasets efficiently. Steps for creating a frequency distribution table. So, it is identify the range of the data, maximum and the minimum values by, and decide the class intervals, count how many data points fall into each class interval. This is the frequency, and create the frequency table. So, this is just the steps by following which we can draw a frequency table. The next thing is cumulative frequency. So, cumulative frequency comes sometimes in some problems. So, cumulative frequency is just the running frequency. So, if we have anything like 20 to 30, we have some data which is occurring 6 times, and 20 to 40 sorry, not 40, maybe 40 to 50, take 30 to 40, that data is appearing 4 times. So, the cumulative frequency of any data appearing 20 to 40 will be that cumulative frequency, that will be 10. Okay. So, this is just a beginner example of what does cumulative frequency does, or what cumulative frequency actually is. Okay. So, the running total of frequency as you move through the classes. Okay, we will discuss this about more in our upcoming slides. So, example of a frequency distribution, here it is. So, we have frequencies like this, and the next thing, that is graphical representation of data. So, data can be represented in visual formats, making it easier to analyze. Common graphical representations include bar graph, histogram and pie chart. Okay. All about them we will going to discuss this in this class, obviously. Okay. So, what is continuous form of grouping? So, let us watch the video here, and then we will go into the bar graphs.
Please select number of students in a class or number
So here is the video of in this video we have learned about what does the discrete data means. So they have given the simple examples of all our datas, mainly in the natural way we have natural numbers as the examples. Like for your book you have pages from starting from 1 to and goes up to like maybe 100, 200, 500. You don't have any page number which says 2.5 or 2 3/4. We don't have these kinds of page. So this is the form of continuous data or discrete data, and this is the example of how can we classify such kind of data. Okay. So this is the continuous form of data which we solve the problems by make them groups. Okay, and this is the examples. So next thing is what are the bar graphs. So before learning about the bar graphs, we just see some examples of bar graphs. Okay, and talking about the video, you can see that bar graphs we have already witnessed in news channels or in newspapers or in your books or anything or any like a street hoarding or somewhere. So these are the examples of bar graph. Okay, so talking about bar graph, so what does bar graph does and what are the kinds of example, we will see the kinds of example in the bar graph. So let's see a video of a bar graph. This is the example video. I didn't play the video of what does bar graph means, you guys already know. So let's just see the example of the bar graph or how can we draw any bar graph. Okay. So here is the complete video. So in this video we have learned that how to draw a bar graph, where the first thing we have to do is to draw axis and then the level axis, choose a suitable scale, that means a range, and find the highest in the each bar, then draw bars and give the graphs a title. Okay, so here the first thing is to draw the axis. Yes, they have drawn the axis and name them, they have named it, and then choose the perfect scale. So for this scale we have data ranging from 120 to 400. So for this case they have taken the scale as 100, 200, 300 up to 700, because we have the highest data as 620. Sorry, the range was from 120 to 620. So the range is 600, so they have taken up to 700. Okay, and then they drawn the bar graphs here. Okay, in the graph paper. Maybe the graph paper is looking a bit hazy, but when you guys will do in your graph paper or in a graph copy, so you can just try to draw it in a tidy manner. Okay, so let's go further. That is, so we have already seen the example here, and this is the method. This one is a very clean one. This is the method by which we can draw the bar graphs. Okay, so here they have taken the scale as ranging from 0 to 10, and one scale is equals to 1 unit, that means 1 foot, and the graph can be drawn like this. Okay, and we have already learned that how can we draw the bar graph, and this is the examples of bar graph. The next thing we will learn that what is joint bar graph. For the cases of joint bar graph, we have to take the scale and draw one graph where we will be referring to two different datas. Okay, so here we have been given to draw a graph of for two students, that is Zen and Zara, and where the graph will replicate their marks in math, science, English and history. Okay, so instead of drawing two different bar graphs, we can draw a graph which will be looking like this. Okay, and where one bar will be representing Zen and the other graph will be representing Zara. Okay, you can take two different colors or two different notation for these two graphs. Okay, just like one is like this one and one is like this one. Okay, so this is the example of joint bar graphs which we can draw, and this is just the similar cases like or the similar way which we can draw the other bar graphs as well. Okay, so let's go next, that is the percentage bar diagram. Okay, so for the cases of percentage bar diagram, so this is just where we are drawing the bar graph and showcasing the percentage limit by taking the scale here in 40%, here in 80%, and here in 60%. Okay, so this is the percentage bar graph. And how do we draw a percentage bar diagram? So this is the kind of thing where we can draw the percentage diagram. So this one is pretty much less. You guys, in your question, you will be having more bar graph than having this percentage diagram. Okay, so this we have also the videos of percentage diagram which you guys can watch in the LMS. Okay, or in the Fun Scholar app. So let's come to the central tendency. So the central tendency covers mean, median and mode. And what does the central tendency means? The central tendency measures are used to summarize the data set into a single representative value. Okay, so in general these central tendencies, for the cases of central tendency refers to three different type or set of data which includes mean, median and mode. all they have different formulas or different ways to measure the central tendency. That is, the first one is mean. The mean is actually the average which we have learned in arithmetic. That is, mean is the average of the data. For the cases of data handling, we use mean to find the average of the given data. That means the sum of all values divided by the total number of values. Okay. So that means mean means the sum of the data values by number of data values. Okay. So example, the mean of 5, 10 and 15 will be what we will be doing. We will be adding 5, 10 and 15, which will be giving us 30, and by dividing them by number of data, that is 3, we will be having 10 as the mean. Okay. So it was very much easy one. And the next one we will be discussing, that is median. The median is the middle value of a data set when the numbers are arranged in the ascending or in the descending order. The way the median is determined depends on whether the number of observations or data points is even or odd. So let us say if we discuss about this given set of data ranging from 1 to 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can simply tell that 4 will be considered as the middle value or the middle of the data. Why? Because 4 lies completely in the middle. It has 3 numbers after that and 3 numbers before it. So 4 will be called as the middle or the median of the given data. Okay, so no doubt about that. But what about if I write the data set ranging from 1 to 6? So we don't have anything in the middle. So we have 2 things in the middle, that is 3 and 4. And for this case, what we will be doing? We will be adding them and finding their average or mean. That will be 3 plus 4 by 2. That will be 7 by 2. That means it will be 3.5. Okay, that will be the middle of the given data. Okay, so this is the example of median. Okay, the next thing is just the formula, that is arrange the data in the ascending order. The middle value will be called as the median. If there are n data points, the position of the median is given by this. So this is the formula by which you can also find the median, but I guess you don't need to remember the formula always. Just arrange that into the ascending or descending order and try to find the middle point. Okay. So the next thing is example for the odd number of data points and even number of data points. So if we having this 10, 20 and 30, so there are 3 data points. So the position of the median will be in 2, that is 20. So not by going by the formula, you guys just can arrange them in the ascending order or descending order and find the middle one. Okay, and talking about, so the conclusion will be 20, and talking about the median of even number of data, it will be n by 2 or n by 2 plus 1. Okay, so this will be, so you have to point out the n by 2th data and n by 2 plus 1th data. So not by going this complex logic, just try to find the middle one just by arranging them into ascending or descending order. Okay, and divide that by 2. So this will be the median of even number of data. Okay, so here we will be having another example of median by having the even number of data set. So there are 4 data points, the middle values are in the position of 2 and 3, and add them and find the middle of them, that is 20 and 30 sum will be 50 and median will be 25. So conclusion, the median of 10, 20, 30, 40 is 25. Okay. The next thing is mode. So mode is the value that appears most frequently in a data set or simply the popular one. Okay, so mode, so if we summarize, mean means the average of the given data. Median means the middle of the given data, and mode means the term which is appearing the most. So in short, we can tell that mean, median and mode is the average, middle and the most type of data. Okay, so this is the a simplification of central tendency. Okay, so mode is the value that appears most frequently in a data set. So for this case, we are having 5, 5, 10 and 20, and 15. So the mode will be 5 because 5 is appearing the most of the time, that is the number 2 times. So this will be called as the mode. Okay, the next thing is question. A survey was conducted among 50 students to find out their favorite subjects: mathematics, science, English, history. Represent the data in a frequency distribution table. So if we draw the frequency distribution table, so the table will be looking like this. Okay, and the complete form of the frequency will be looking like this. Okay, so let's go next. That is, the marks obtained by 7 students in a mathematics test are as follows. Calculate the mean of the marks obtained by all of the students. This one is pretty much easy. So first you have to write them. So for the cases of mean, you don't have to write them in ascending or descending order, but I am writing it here. Maybe it will be easiest for calculating. 35, 42, sorry, not 42, it will be 35 will be first, then will come 40, then it will be 42, then it will be 48, then it will be 50, then it will be 55, and then it will be 50, 55, it will be 60. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7. So if we pair them up, it will be 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus 60. So this is the simplest method which you can add them. So we will be having 270 plus 60 by 7. So it will be 330 by 7. So, and after solving it, we will be having the mean of the given data. Okay, yes, that will be 47.14. Okay. The next question is the heights of 9 students in a class recorded as follows. So find the median of the height. So for the cases of median, what we have to do first? Remember, we have to arrange them into the ascending order. So 150 is 1, 155 is 2, 160 coming 2 times, that is 3 and 4, then 165 also coming 2 times, that is 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and then comes 177, 175, 8 and 189. So arrange them. So 150, then comes 160, then again 160, then we have missed 155. So 150, after that it will be 155, then 160, again 160, then 165, then 170, then 175, then 180. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe we have missed something, that is 150 first, 155nd, 163rd, 164th, 165th, 170. Oh, we have two 165. Okay, so here we will be having 165. So no problem in that. So we have total nine data. So for the cases of 9, the fifth number of data, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth, that is 165, will be termed as the median of the height. So that is 165 will be termed as the median. Yes, they have done it here. Okay. The next is we are having the weights of 8 students are given below and calculate the median of the weight. So for that case, they have also arranged them in a ascending order starting from 45 go up to 80. So the fourth value is 65 and fifth value is 60. Fourth value is 60 and fifth value is 65. So the median will be 60 plus 65 by 2, that is 62.5. Okay, so the median of the weight has been done correctly. The number of books read by students in a class in a month recorded as follows. So let's find the mode of the data. So here 2 is coming 3 times, 3 is coming 5 times, 4 times and 5 3 times. So the mode will be 3 because 3 is appearing 5 times. Okay. So another trick they have called us that to find the mode, count the frequency of each number and identify the one that occurs the most. Mode is useful when one value appears significantly more often than others. Okay, so next thing is the frequency distribution table, and after that we have to find the median. So they have drawn a frequency distribution table, and after arranging them we are having 18 observations. So the median will be 9 plus 10th by 2, that is 2 here. Okay, so we have completed up to central tendency. In the next lecture we will be starting from the histogram here. So the lecture 1 of data handling for class 8 CBSE has been completed. I hope you guys have enjoyed the lecture, and I will going to see you in the next class. Okay, bye.